The essence of Kabbalah teaching. What lies at the core of Kabbalah's wisdom? Fundamentally, it revolves around the revelation of divinity, unfolding along its path in all dimensions, those that have surfaced in the realms and those yet to be unveiled, in every conceivable manner throughout existence, extending into eternity. The purpose behind creation. Given that every action possesses intent, it follows that the Creator had a definitive purpose in the creation placed before us. Central to this intricate reality is the consciousness bestowed upon living beings, that innate awareness of one's own existence. Particularly significant is the cognitive awareness, unique to humanity, through which one perceives the experiences of others, their pains and joys. Thus, it becomes evident that if there is a purpose behind this creation, it is centered on humanity. It is said, all the works of the Lord are for Him. Yet, we must delve deeper into understanding the purpose for which this creation was brought forth. It is undeniably to elevate humanity to a loftier and more profound level, to experience a God-like connection akin to human interaction, already inherent within them. Just as one grasps and empathizes with a friend's desires, so shall humanity comprehend the intentions of the Creator, as exemplified in Moses, who conversed with the Lord, face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. Every individual has the potential to emulate Moses. Indeed, anyone observing the unfolding of creation before us will discern and appreciate the profound delight of the divine operator, whose craftsmanship culminates in the extraordinary sensation of engaging with one's God on a familiar level, akin to conversing with a friend. Ascending from below subsequently unfolds an order of ascent from below upwards. These are the successive steps of the ladder through which humanity evolves and ascends towards the purpose of creation. These dual realities are expounded upon in meticulous detail within the wisdom of Kabbalah. The imperative of Kabbalah study. A skeptic may argue, is this wisdom not reserved for those already graced with divine revelation? What relevance does this sublime wisdom hold for the majority? Indeed, there persists a prevalent notion that the essence of religion in the Torah lies solely in the purification of actions, emphasizing strict adherence to physical commandments without additional requirements. Were this true, those advocating for the sufficiency of merely observing practical actions would be justified. However, reality differs. Our wise sages have asserted, why should the Creator care whether one slaughters at the throat or the back of the neck? After all, the commandments were given for the purpose of purifying individuals. Hence, there exists a purpose beyond mere action, with actions serving as mere preparations for this end. Thus, if actions are not aligned with the intended goal, they are rendered meaningless. As the Zohar aptly puts it, a commandment without purpose is like a body without a soul. Consequently, the aim must accompany the action. Moreover, it is imperative that the aim be genuine and worthy of the action, as our sages elucidated regarding the verse, and I will set you apart from the peoples, that ye should be mine, so your separation will be for my name. Merely abstaining from pork due to disgust or fear of physical harm does not suffice for it to be considered a commandment unless done with the specific and proper intention as ordained by the Torah. The same principle applies to every commandment, and only then does one's spiritual essence gradually become purified through the observance of commandments, thus fulfilling the desired purpose. Consequently, the study of practical conduct alone is insufficient. One must delve into those teachings that cultivate the desired intention, approaching every aspect with unwavering faith in the Torah and its giver, acknowledging the existence of judgment and a judge. Who could be so naive as to overlook the necessity of extensive study in the proper texts to foster faith in the Torah, in reward and punishment, which hold the power to achieve such greatness? Thus, even prior to action, a study that purifies the soul is essential, instilling a steadfast belief in the Creator, His law, and His providence. Our sages remarked on this, I have created the evil inclination, I have created for it the Torah as a spice. Notice they did not say, I have created for it the commandments as a spice, for your guarantor requires a bondsman himself, as the evil inclination craves licentiousness and impedes adherence to commandments. Regular spice capable of nullifying and subduing the evil inclination, as our sages proclaimed, the light within it reformed them. Emphasis on Torah study. This elucidates why the Torah expounds extensively on sections seemingly unrelated to practical application but solely focused on study, serving as the precursor to action in creation. These encompass the entirety of the book of Bereshit, Genesis, Shemot, Exodus, a significant portion of Devarim, Deuteronomy, and, needless to say, the tales and commentaries. Though they primarily house the light, their study purifies the soul, subdues the evil inclination, and fosters faith in the Torah, as well as in reward and punishment. This marks the initial stage of engaging in spiritual work. Commandments illuminate, teaching enlightens. As Scripture states, for the commandment is a candle, and the teaching is light. Just as having candles without a source of light leaves one in darkness, possessing commandments without Torah knowledge leaves one in spiritual obscurity. This is because the Torah serves as the illuminating light, dispelling the darkness within the soul. Varied illumination in Torah portions. Considering the varying potency of light within the Torah, it is evident that it should be segmented into degrees corresponding to the amount of light one can absorb through study. When one delves into Torah passages concerning the revelation of the Creator to our ancestors, they impart more light than practical matters. Although practical matters hold significance in actions, in terms of spiritual enlightenment, the revelation of the Creator to our ancestors undoubtedly carries greater weight. Any earnest seeker who has sought to bask in the light of the Torah will attest to this truth. The necessity and unfolding of Kabbalistic wisdom. Given that the entirety of Kabbalistic wisdom revolves around the revelation of the Creator, it naturally stands as the most effective teaching for its intended purpose. This was the aim of the Kabbalists, to organize it in a manner conducive to study. Thus, they delved into its depths until the time of concealment, which was agreed upon for certain reasons. However, this concealment was not perpetual, as stated in the Zohar. This wisdom is destined to be revealed at the end of days, and even to children. It follows that the aforementioned wisdom is not confined to the language of Kabbalah alone. Its essence is a spiritual light emanating from the Creator's essence, as depicted in the passage. Can you send forth lightnings, that they may go, and say unto you? Here we are, referring to the two paths, from above downwards and from below upwards. These concepts and levels expand in accordance with a language suitable for them, encompassing all beings in this world and their actions, which are like branches stemming from them. As it is said, you have not a blade of grass below that does not have an angel above, which strikes it and tells it, grow. Hence, the worlds emerge and imprint upon one another, akin to a seal and its imprint. Everything in one world exists in the others, extending down to the physical realm, which serves as the final branch but contains the world above it, much like an imprint of a seal. Therefore, it becomes evident that discussions about the higher worlds can only occur through their lower, corporeal branches or their actions, expressed in the language of the Bible, secular teachings, or the terminology of Kabbalists. This has been the practice in Kabbalistic tradition since the concealment of the Zohar. Thus, it is clear that the revelation of the Creator is not a singular event but an ongoing process, gradually unveiling all the lofty degrees from above downwards and from below upwards. At the apex and conclusion of these degrees stands the Creator. The seeker's journey resembles that of someone versed in every country and people in the world, unable to claim understanding of the entire world until every individual in every land has been explored. Similarly, the attainment of the Creator unfolds through predetermined paths, requiring the seeker to traverse all these paths, both in the upper and lower realms. While the upper worlds hold greater significance, they are expressions of the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm lacks form, and thus, there are no letters to contemplate. Even when we speak generally of it as simple light, which descends and extends to the seeker until it clothes and attains him to the extent necessary for his revelation, this is still a borrowed expression. This is because the term light in the spiritual realm does not resemble the light of the sun or candle. When we use the term light in the spiritual context, we borrow it from the human mind's nature. When a doubt is resolved within a person, they experience a sense of light and pleasure throughout their body. This is why we sometimes refer to it as the light of the mind, although it is not literal. The light experienced in parts of the body unsuitable for receiving resolved scrutinies is inferior to the mind, yet even these lower organs can receive and attain it. To denote the mind, we call it the light of the mind. Similarly, we refer to elements of the upper world's reality as lights, as they bring abundance of light and pleasure to those who attain them, permeating their entire being. Thus, One who attains is metaphorically said to be clothed by this light. One might question whether it would be more appropriate to use terms related to observation and attainment or expressions that emphasize the phenomena of the noetic mind. However, the mind operates differently from the elements of reality, as it is a particular branch among them, with its own manifestation. Degrees, on the other hand, represent a complete whole containing all the elements existing in a world, each with its particular ways. Perception of matters in degrees is akin to perceiving animate bodies. When one attains some essence, they grasp the entirety of it. According to the laws of the noetic mind, one may attain everything possible within an essence from the outset. Yet, initially, understanding may be limited, akin to seeing everything but comprehending none. With time, additional insights akin to conception, nursing, adulthood, and a second conception emerge, allowing for deeper understanding and application of attainments. Despite these developments, no new elements are added. Rather, understanding matures over time. This contrast highlights the disparity between the phenomena of the noetic mind and corporeal matters, leading us to rely on expressions applicable to the latter, despite their substantial differences. The language of the Bible. The language of the Bible stands as the fundamental, basic language, perfectly tailored for its intended purpose, primarily due to its root and branch structure. This language, also known as the Holy Tongue, attributed to Adam HaRishon, possesses two notable advantages and one drawback. Its first advantage lies in its simplicity, allowing even beginners in spiritual attainment to grasp essential concepts immediately. The second advantage is its extensive and in-depth elucidation of matters, surpassing all other languages in clarity. However, its drawback is evident in its inability to address specific issues or causal connections directly. Each matter requires comprehensive clarification, as it may not be self-evident which element is being referred to without presenting the entire context. Therefore, it is unsuitable for addressing minute details or causal connections. Additionally, the language of prayers and blessings is derived from the language of the Bible. The language of laws does not describe reality but rather the existence of reality. It draws entirely from the language of the Bible, based on the roots of the laws outlined therein. While it offers an advantage over the Bible in providing extensive elaboration on each matter, thereby pointing to the upper roots more accurately, it is also notably challenging to comprehend. This language, considered the most difficult of all, can only be fully understood by a sage who has attained complete mastery, known as entering and exiting without harm. The language of legends employs allegories that seamlessly convey desired meanings, appearing deceptively easier to understand than the language of the Bible on the surface. However, for comprehensive understanding, it proves to be quite challenging, as it relies solely on allegories and clever symbolism. Despite this, it excels in resolving complex and enigmatic concepts related to the essence of degrees, which cannot be explained using the languages of the Bible and law. The language of Kabbalists. The language of Kabbalists is a remarkably precise language, adept at articulating both root and branch connections and causal relationships. It possesses the unique ability to express subtle details without limitations and allows for direct engagement with the desired subject matter without the need for contextual connection. However, despite its sublime merits, it is exceptionally difficult to attain, nearly impossible except through direct transmission from a Kabbalist sage who has received it from their teacher face to face. Even those who understand other degrees may struggle to comprehend this language without guidance from a knowledgeable sage. The language of Kabbalah encompasses all. The names, appellations, and gematrias are intrinsic to the wisdom of Kabbalah. While they also appear in other languages, this is because all languages are encompassed within the wisdom of Kabbalah. Each language serves as a particular case that the others draw upon for assistance. However, it's crucial to understand that these four languages, elucidating the wisdom of godly revelation, did not evolve sequentially over time. In truth, they all appeared simultaneously before the sages. Indeed, each language contains elements of the others. The language of Kabbalah is evident within the Bible, such as references to standing on the Tzor, rock, the 13 attributes of mercy, the chariots in Isaiah and Ezekiel, and notably, the Song of Songs. This language is similarly present in laws and legends, along with the unerasable names, which carry consistent meaning across all languages. Order of language evolution. Language development progresses gradually, with the most convenient language emerging first. Consequently, the language of the Bible was the initial product, being both convenient and prevalent at the time. Following it came the language of laws, deeply rooted in the language of the Bible and necessary for legal implementation. The language of legends, while present in the Bible, served as an auxiliary language due to its lack of precision and relatively rare usage. Expansive use of legends began after the concealment of the language of Kabbalah, during the era of Yohanan ben Zakkai and shortly before the temple's destruction. Lastly, the language of Kabbalah evolved last due to its complexity. Understanding it required not only attainment but also comprehension of its words, making it challenging for individuals to use without proper guidance. The language of Kabbalah, a unique expression of meaning. Initially, the language of Kabbalah may appear as a blend of the three aforementioned languages. However, those who comprehend its usage will recognize its uniqueness throughout. This uniqueness lies not in the words themselves but in their inherent meanings. This distinction is crucial. In the first three languages, individual words often lack inherent meaning, relying on context for understanding. Content and significance are typically grasped only by considering phrases or broader contexts. The language of Kabbalah, however, excels in providing precise meaning with each word. Every word in Kabbalistic discourse carries its own specific definition, irreplaceable by any other term. The loss of wisdom. Since the concealment of the Zohar, this vital language has gradually faded from memory, as fewer and fewer individuals practiced it. Moreover, there was a break in the chain of transmission, where a sage failed to convey it to an understanding recipient. Consequently, an immeasurable deficit emerged. It's evident that Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe de Leon, the last known possessor of this wisdom, did not grasp its essence. In his writings introducing excerpts from the Book of Zohar, he demonstrates a lack of comprehension, interpreting its words through the lens of the language of the Bible. Despite his remarkable attainment, as evidenced by his compositions, he struggled to understand the language of the Zohar. Throughout generations, Kabbalists dedicated their lives to unraveling the language of the Zohar, yet they often found themselves at an impasse. By imposing the language of the Bible onto it, they obscured its true meaning. Consequently, this sacred text remained sealed to them, just as it was to Rabbi Moshe de Leon himself. The language of Kabbalah, a unique expression of meaning. Initially, the language of Kabbalah may appear as a blend of the three aforementioned languages. However, those who comprehend its usage will recognize its uniqueness throughout. This uniqueness lies not in the words themselves but in their inherent meanings. This distinction is crucial. In the first three languages, individual words often lack inherent meaning, relying on context for understanding. Content and significance are typically grasped only by considering phrases or broader contexts. The language of Kabbalah, however, excels in providing precise meaning with each word. Every word in Kabbalistic discourse carries its own specific definition, irreplaceable by any other term. The loss of wisdom. Since the concealment of the Zohar, this vital language has gradually faded from memory, as fewer and fewer individuals practiced it. Moreover, there was a break in the chain of transmission, where a sage failed to convey it to an understanding recipient. Consequently, an immeasurable deficit emerged. It's evident that Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe de Leon, the last known possessor of this wisdom, did not grasp its essence. In his writings introducing excerpts from the Book of Zohar, he demonstrates a lack of comprehension, interpreting its words through the lens of the language of the Bible. Despite his remarkable attainment, as evidenced by his compositions, he struggled to understand the language of the Zohar. Throughout generations, Kabbalists dedicated their lives to unraveling the language of the Zohar, yet they often found themselves at an impasse. By imposing the language of the Bible onto it, they obscured its true meaning. Consequently, this sacred text remained sealed to them, just as it was to Rabbi Moshe de Leon himself. The impact of the Ari's Kabbalah. The arrival of the exceptional Kabbalist, the Ari, marked a significant turning point. His attainment transcended any limit, providing illumination into the language of the Zohar and paving the way for understanding. Had he not passed away prematurely, one can only imagine the immense light that would have been drawn from the Zohar. Nonetheless, the insights we have received have provided a pathway and a glimmer of hope that future generations would grasp it fully. Understanding the shift to the Ari's teachings. It's crucial to comprehend why subsequent sages abandoned their own works and commentary on the Zohar in favor of the teachings of the Ari. This shift wasn't due to disbelief in the sanctity of earlier sages. Their wisdom was undeniable. However, their interpretations often adhered to the logic of the first three languages, which were insufficient for grasping the essence of the Zohar. As a result, their explanations were deemed inaccurate. Thus, the Ari's insights became paramount, serving as the primary commentary on the Zohar. The essence of Kabbalistic wisdom. The internal essence of Kabbalistic wisdom aligns with that of the Bible, the Talmud, and the legends. The difference lies in their explanations, akin to a wisdom translated into four languages. While the language may change, the essence remains constant. The goal is to convey the wisdom effectively to each generation, allowing it to evolve and become more accessible to the public. Passing on spiritual attainment. Each sage must transmit their inherited wisdom to subsequent generations, along with any insights they've acquired. However, spiritual attainment cannot be directly transferred or captured in written form. While spiritual concepts may be expressed in words, they transcend the limitations of language and imagination. Thus, the transmission of spiritual wisdom is a sacred responsibility, ensuring its continuity and evolution over time. Transmitting spiritual attainment through root and branch. The only way to transmit spiritual attainment to future generations and students is through the principle of root and branch. All the worlds and their contents originated from the Creator's singular thought, as elucidated in texts like the Tree of Life and the Tikkun Zohar. Each world is interconnected, like a seal in its imprint, with the initial thought serving as the root and subsequent creations as branches. Thus, the closer a world is to the initial thought, the more it resembles a root, while those farther away are considered branches. This understanding sheds light on the saying in our sages' legends about watching from the end of the world to its end, indicating both the furthest branches and the ultimate purpose. The concept of roots and branches in the worlds. In the hierarchy of worlds, every element in our world has its counterpart in the higher realms, differing only in substance, not form. For example, a physical object in our world corresponds to a spiritual essence in the higher world. The qualities remain the same, but the materiality differs. This pattern continues through each world until reaching the first world, where all elements are perfected. This concept is emphasized by the statement, "And God saw everything that he had made, and, behold, it was very good." Understanding the purpose and progression of worlds. The goal of all corporeal existence is to gradually evolve and fulfill the Creator's design, culminating in the first world. While our world appears to be at the center of everything, it is, in fact, the farthest from the purpose. The progression of worlds from the emanator down to our corporeal world represents a descent, with each world aiming toward the ultimate goal. Despite our world seeming like the endpoint, it is actually a midpoint between the initial thought and the world of the goal. The wisdom of truth encompasses the entirety of existence, from the still to the speaking, across all worlds and their conduct, unified in the Creator's original thought. Unlike physics, which focuses on specific arrangements within a particular world, the wisdom of truth encompasses all teachings, from the mundane to the profound, equalizing and integrating them into a single coherent whole. Each teaching, whether it be physics, astronomy, or music, is organized according to the same universal order of the worlds and the Sephirot. This interconnectedness reflects the relationship between a child and its progenitor, with each teaching conditioning and being conditioned by the wisdom of truth. Genuine Kabbalists possess comprehensive knowledge across all teachings because they draw from the wisdom of truth itself, which encompasses them all. The wisdom of truth integrates all elements of reality into a single unified concept, the Almighty. It begins with the reflection of all teachings in the world, meticulously organized according to its own orders. These teachings then unite under the 10 Sephirot, which further condense into the four-letter name and ultimately merge into the tip of the Yod, representing the Ein Sof, or infinity. To study this wisdom, one must start with the tip of the Yod and progress through the 10 Sephirot in the world of Adam Kadmon, observing how details necessarily extend from one another, akin to the laws found in astronomy and physics. Over time, a comprehensive understanding of the wisdom allows for a general relation of all details, similar to studying the various organs and their effects in anatomy. While the general topic of the wisdom, godliness revealed to his creations, is not initially known to novices, Acquiring knowledge of the details and their interconnections leads to a deeper comprehension of the whole. Even if one is not ultimately rewarded with complete understanding, any perception of this great wisdom is valuable, surpassing all other teachings in its subject matter and the value of its topics. The wisdom of truth is not inherently imperceptible. Rather, it was deliberately hidden by Kabbalists for wise reasons, much like the predetermined movements of the stars and planets in astronomy are observable despite their hidden nature. It's fascinating to hear about the permission given to disclose the wisdom of truth in your generation. This permission, granted to you by your teacher, allows for the expansion and explanation of the wisdom through a permitted manner known as the manner of clothing the matters. It's intriguing how this approach aligns with the teachings of Rashbi, who referred to it as giving permission, indicating a significant opportunity granted to you by the Creator, influenced by the state of the generation. Regarding abstract names in the language of Kabbalah, it's emphasized that this language deals only with the actual, not with abstract concepts. Just as we recognize real but imperceptible phenomena like magnetism and electricity by their actions, the language of Kabbalah focuses on tangible subjects related to their operations in the spiritual worlds. Even though the essence of the soul may not be perceptible through our senses, its actions in the spiritual realms are distinctly observed and named, making the language of Kabbalah concrete and tangible. Your commentary offers a unique advantage over previous interpretations of the wisdom of Kabbalah. While some scholars have drawn upon secular teachings like anatomy, philosophy, and psychology to illustrate how various concepts are included in Kabbalah, these approaches are not considered true commentaries. They merely demonstrate how other teachings are integrated into the wisdom of Kabbalah without directly interpreting its essence. In contrast, your commentary delves into the root and branch, cause and consequence of the wisdom itself. This makes it the first true interpretation of Kabbalah in this comprehensive manner. By thoroughly understanding a matter through your commentary, one can confidently apply that understanding to any occurrence of that matter in the Zohar and the Tikkunim, just as one can rely on literal commentaries to assist in understanding various passages. Interpreting Kabbalah through external teachings is deemed futile because it merely serves to testify to the authenticity of one teaching over another. However, in Kabbalah, understanding the argument precedes providing testimony for it. This highlights the significance of your commentary, which offers a direct and thorough exploration of the wisdom of Kabbalah itself. Rav Shem Tov's mistake stemmed from his attempt to interpret the Guide for the Perplexed, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. He failed to recognize that the wisdom of Kabbalah can interpret other teachings, including medicine or philosophy, just as effectively. This is because Kabbalah encompasses all teachings and imprints them with its seal. Interpreting external teachings through the lens of Kabbalah is considered futile because these teachings do not require testimony to their truthfulness. Such attempts are akin to a prosecutor bringing witnesses before explaining his arguments. It's only after thoroughly understanding the wisdom of Kabbalah itself that one can appreciate how other teachings are included within it. There are three orders in the wisdom of truth: the originality in the wisdom, the understanding of the sources attained from above, and the written order. The first order is a divine gift that requires no human assistance. The second order involves understanding the sources received from above, which is passed down orally from mouth to mouth. The third order is a written transmission, containing much room for the development of wisdom and serving as a purification tool for those who engage with it. This written order encompasses 4 languages, with the language of Kabbalah surpassing them all. The most effective path to learning the wisdom of Kabbalah is to seek out a genuine Kabbalist and diligently follow their guidance. Through obedience and dedication, one may eventually attain understanding of the wisdom in their own mind, which marks the first discernment. Subsequently, one may receive the conveyance of wisdom directly from the Kabbalist, which signifies the second discernment. Finally, one may reach the third discernment, understanding the wisdom in writing and inheriting its instruments from the teacher. Alternatively, some individuals may experience a direct revelation of the origins of wisdom through profound yearning. However, even after such an initial revelation, extensive effort in seeking out a Kabbalist sage are necessary to progress further in the understanding of the wisdom. In reality, not everyone succeeds in either path. Many who attain knowledge become complacent and fail to fully submit themselves to their teacher, resulting in a lack of further conveyance of wisdom. Consequently, they may die without fully understanding the wisdom they entered. The conveyance of wisdom is subject to strict conditions, and only a select few are deemed worthy by their teachers to receive it. Therefore, Those who are fortunate enough to receive such conveyance are considered blessed, as it is a rare and privileged opportunity.